welcome back to Ranking Racers. We're on episode 3, and today's races we're going to be looking at the Destruction Derby for the PlayStation 1 that came out in '95 and Ridge Racer 6. We're looking at the Xbox 360 version of Ridge Racer 6 and the PlayStation 1 version of Destruction Derby. And our current rankings, so far we've got Blur as being the best racing game and Beach Buggy Racing at the bottom of the pile. Doesn't mean it's the worst, just a pile. So we've got Blur, Wreckfest, Need for Speed Carbon and Beach Buggy Racing. As always, let me know in the comments what order you would have them in, because I'm always curious to hear. And we're going to add 2 more now to this list. So where can Destruction Derby and Ridge Racer 6 fit on this list? And first we're going to start with Destruction Derby. So there's only about 5 different tracks. You can choose a different car depending on what difficulty you want. We'll stick to Rookie just so we can show some of the gameplay. We'll just show a handful of tracks here. So let's have a look at track 1. So the first track we're looking at is the Speedway. Now in Destruction Derby you've kind of got like this weird camera angle. You can swap it. As you can tell when you get hit, it's a bit hard to see if you go through like your normal racing one. So I tend to play a bit further out so you can see what's going on. So the tracks are quite short in this game, but for a '95 game it's got some pretty good destruction. I remember the second game a lot more, but this one holds up. And there's some like tunes, it's very 90s. It's an early PlayStation game, and plus playing on the PlayStation Classics, we'll be using the D-pad here, which is a little bit weird for a racing game, but I think it plays fairly alright. The thing I love about this game is like how many cars are on the track and the destruction, and the tunes are catchy. Like limited tracks is a bit of an issue, and I think the cars are all kind of like the standard like stock cars, but that's what you would kind of find it in this type of event if you went and seeing. Lots of adverts here. This was that era of sticking billboards everywhere in games. Obviously a lot of laps as well in these types of racing. Let's see how it goes. We'll do a race in this angle and then I'll show you another race in a different angle. So the music has that nice feel, so I think for the music for this game, it's kind of catchy. Usually we turn the music off in this, but I'm hoping this doesn't get flagged. Fingers crossed. If you can't hear the audio, I've had to mute it for this bit. Oh, come on. I kind of like how first, second, and third are labelled, so you know if you're going to pass or not. Because it's so chaotic, you don't know if if you've lapped someone or haven't, so this kind of helps. It looks like how many cars are here, but it's only this blue car I'm really actually worried about. Okay, now I'm in first. There's some good other tracks where they cross over as well. Yeah, pretty good. Here we go. Unfortunately, we can't hear any music for this bit or any of the sounds. I've had to mute it, but I will turn the music off for the next track just to make sure we can hear the sounds of the destruction going on. It's kind of not quite got the feel of impact when you like hit someone, as you might expect from a newer game, but things do feel a bit solid. It's not aged as well in appearance. It's definitely got a lot of that PlayStation 1 look going on, and it was an early one as well, so things do look a little bit messy here. And well, you feel like you've got control of the car, there's like a little bit lacking of control. And there you go, that's race over. Let's have a look at the next race. Right, our next race is on a figure of 8 track. So I thought this is where you get to see more destruction, and I'll zoom the camera in close so you can see the car closer and some of the destruction. Makes it a little bit harder to race, but let's show off how the different ways you could play. So usually I like this angle, but this is the only thing downside in this game. I feel like this angle is pulled a little bit too low behind and not quite enough so you can see overhead. But yeah, we've got some like, the announcer is good. It's nice to have the announcer. That's a bonus point for this game. There's some good sounds of like cars whizzing by, and in a minute probably as we crash into someone, probably hear some. Oh, Some good glass breaking noise there. And I like how your car visually shows the damage as well. That's a nice touch. It's a little bit hard to get around some of these corners in this angle. Oh, this is where you can get a little bit confused. That's the only downside in this game, like there's a lack of showing what direction to go in. Wow. Just kind of can't remember which way you were going. Okay, I think. Yep, we're back. We're alright. But yeah, it's playing well. There's no like boost or anything. The little car icon on the right shows like which bits of your car damaged. Like if your wheel gets too damaged, that you'll probably start to feel the controls feel a bit funny. Man, this is chaotic. This one. Oh. Camera seems to take a while to swing back around to which way it should be. You just get a little bit confused what track you were driving down. And it's probably possible not to make it to the end as well. To actually fully wreck your car and just be on smoke and fire. Which might happen to us in this one actually, because I've taken quite a battering to the side. Oh, and yep, one of my wheels is definitely gone funny, because this isn't me racing badly, this is like... Oh no. I've really wrecked the sides of my car, which is now taking an impact on my driving. And that's, I mean, every time you race, if you just get unlucky in one crash. Oh, well, there you go. Man, I got a little bit unlucky there. Okay, let's have a see what the replay. So there's a replay feature, and while we're doing that, we can bring up our list so far, because there isn't much to show this. Some racing games a bit more, but doesn't necessarily mean it's better.
Okay,
so this
watch some replays?
Is our current rankings here. So like I said, we've got Blur at the top, Wreckfest, Need for Speed Carbon, and Beach Bug Racing. I'm torn because some games do have a lot more content, but for a racing game like history and how it feels... Oh, let's play the replay. I think I'm going to have to... Need for Speed Carbon's got some weird control issues on the Wii version, and that kind of lets it down a bit. And visually looks a bit off as well. So I'm going to put like... Wreckfest is like obviously the better version of this. It does lack some of the atmosphere from this, but I feel like Destruction Derby, some of the later ones, maybe caught the gameplay a bit better. I feel like Wreckfest is like the better version of Destruction Derby, which I'm not trying to sort out. Like I said, this is just my opinion anyway. You can put your opinion. So I'm going to stick Destruction Derby after Wreckfest. Destruction... If I haven't spelled it right, I will check it afterwards. And like I said, this is the PS1 version. There were some other ones that came out that were like for the PlayStation 2 ones came out later in the series. There was an N64 one. So that should appear on our list now. Yep, there you go. Destruction Derby for the PS1. Right, and now I'm going to load up Ridge Racer 6. So see you there in a minute. Transitioning now. Next up, we're checking out Ridge Racer 6 and see where this fits on the list. So this is kind of like a little bit unusual for some games, because it does have like a drifting, but like the drifting kind of locks in a little bit in the corner. It's hard to explain, but when you get the feel of it. Now, when Ridge Racer clicks with you, it's so good. But we're going to check that out, and you can see that bit. It can look a little bit odd in number 6. Now, there's a couple of different modes. We've got like online battle, time attack. Now, World Explorer has this unusual map. So basically, you're starting from the bottom and working up, but you can choose a selection of courses to do. So I could choose like 30, 31, and 32. And if they all connect up, you can unlock like an extra thing that's in the middle. If I show you now, like I unlocked this car here by making, oh, you can't see pointing, but by making the top row here connect with the bottom row, and then like it filled in. So like you're claiming like territory, like land, and that's how you get. So we'll show off these 3 races here, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so we've got a mixture of places here: an island circuit, Midtown, and Highland Cliffs. Here we go. Oh, and we get to choose a car. There's lots of Namco themed things here. This is my go-to Pac-Man car. I like. There's different drift types. I like to go for mild. Yeah, I'm gonna stick to that. But I think there's a good selection of cars, and there's some more novelty cars as well. Nitrous support I found out the other day gives you like bonus nitrous at the beginning of the race, but it does show on the map which tracks you have used nitrous support on, so we're going to use it without. I think music's important to Ridge Racer. I really like the music, so I'm going to leave it on. If you don't hear any audio, it's because YouTube flagged the video, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But we'll have to wait and see about that. Okay, here we go. Right, here we go. So I really like the look, even though this came out in 2005/2006, depends where you are in the world. I think it holds up still pretty well these days, so. Handling feels good. It like has a bit of an odd handling, but. So Ridge Racer is meant to be like a slightly futuristic, but you see like the drifting here, you kind of like lock in, and then you've got to try and get the right balance. Nope. But yeah, have like a DJ who commentates on what you're doing as well. Well, he's mainly focused on what you're doing. But yeah, it's got a cool like near future sci-fi, like kind of still feels like present day, but a little bit of sci-fi as well. So as soon as my nitrous bar fills up a bit on the right hand side, you see, I can use it. So I could either use one boost there or save up for a double. See what we can get. So if I press B here, a bit of motion blur here, and like I said, it's another one I like because it's got lots of races. Got a few different camera angles, this or that, not much choice. This is a little bit tricky if you're doing the drifts, I'll show you now, because you can't really see where you're going forward, so I tend to stick to this camera. I like the little Pac-Man. How's your lap time doing? Let's see if we can save up for a bigger boost here. But yeah, as soon as you get the hang of drifting, it's good. I've played them before, and if you haven't quite clicked, it feels like you're crashing a lot, but after a while you get used to like linking corners up and there. So I'm really just like tapping the brake and turning to initiate it, and then just controlling it with the stick. So that's a double nitrous, see if we can get a triple one or not. They are indeed. So it can be helpful as well sometimes. Sometimes it's like jumps, but sometimes it looks a little bit weird. There's a really nice flow to the race. The race is in Ridge Racer, so. I think the AI is alright overall. I've not had any like issues. Here's press the Y for the triple boost here. Oh, it goes so fast doing this. Yep. So yeah, I like the mixture of the towns and the countryside level, so this is a pretty cool countryside level. Because some racing games focus mainly on like street racing, but this has got good luck. The only thing I don't like I was just showing there, bumping and crashing into things doesn't really like have an impact. It kind of feels like it doesn't react very well. It's kind of just like a weird juttery bounce. That can look a little bit odd. There's no like good damage that could go here. It just feels a bit weird, like I'm a toy car bouncing off something. That's its one downside. I'd like some more visual damage or something would help. Okay. Let's transition to the next race. Okay, let's have a look at a city race now. Oh, we might have a bit of countryside in this one as well, by looks of it. It says time of days. There's no, from what tracks I've played in this game, I've not seen any weather effects. That's the only downside. I think like some cool Ridge Racer races in the rain or something would look awesome. And it's kind of like a series they've forgotten about, so it would be nice to see a new one. Well, I can't remember this track actually. And it does have vibration in this as well, so it's not too offensive actually. Only rumbles for like bumps and if the road's bumpy. Right, here we go.
Someone fired off some nitrous. Yeah!
There we go. Whoop. But yeah, it's usually this like first lap or 2 laps, trying to pass the initial bunch of racers and then... Oh, crumbs. Yeah, sometimes if you go too far in the corner. So you notice some of these tracks share similar parts from other tracks. And quite a few tracks do that, so... So obviously like the races are taking place in a similar location, just a different route. But yeah, oh, it still looks quite good. Plays well, looks good. No, we're talking about 2005 game, and like I'm recording this episode for this series in 2021, so I could happily sit down and play this for quite a long time. There's definitely enough content and type of cars and everything in this.
Alright now, someone's using nitrous to catch up.
Fortunately, it's not backwards compatible for players who are looking to get some more games for the Xbox One or Xbox Series X and S. Fortunately, it's stuck on the Xbox 360 for that.
Someone fired off some nitrous.
And I heard Ridge Racer 7 is meant to be similar. It's just the PS3 version, so...
Nitrous ready.
Right, come on, let's pass this car here. But yeah, I love the music. Ridge Racer music's amazing. It sounds good, looks good. Not seen any people. That's usually a test as well. Like, how good do the people look in the crowds? But I've not really noticed any. You can't really turn. There's no like manual camera to turn around your car.
Nitrous on standby.
Ooh, crumbs. Okay, this might be one of the tight sections. So usually the more like wider highway
Cruising on ultimate charge.
sections here. Like I said, it's always usually like track based. It's not like there's any off-roading or anything. Like I said, they're all linear tracks as well. It's not like racing games set in an open world. It's like there's no open world section, which I preference kind of prefer. Like sometimes it's nice to have an open world to drive around, but I think you can craft much detailed and interesting tracks if you're not restricted to being in one place. Oh, there we go.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go.
On standby.
We have a nitrous boost here.
Oh yeah. It's the final stretch. Roar.
There we go. Right, we'll have a look at one more track just to see a little bit more variation, and then we'll have a decide on the rankings. Right, here's our next track. Well, we've got some canyon racing here.
You ready?
Right, let's check it out.
3, 2.
Looking at that map, looks like there could be some tight corners, and we've got some people here. Do the people test. Oh, they are definitely flat JPEGs. That looks good.
Okay, let's go.
We've got some sheep.
Yes.
There's definitely more of a rural track than ever before. Do you mean? The other two had some city bits in, but
Yeah.
some sharper corners here. There's definitely the early Xbox 360 bloom effect going on a bit, but it's not overdone here. You go back and play some other racing games from that era, and the bloom can be a bit too much. Take a look at Burnout Revenge for the Xbox 360. The bloom effect is in overload in that game, so
Here comes some crazy nitrous.
there we go. But yeah, I like this near sci-fi look to it, so and hopefully Namco brings Ridge Racer back at some point. But we still got plenty more Ridge Racer games to check out on our Ranking of Races. So definitely stick around for future episodes, see where they come. And you'll have to let me know where you think Ridge Racer will come. I'd be curious to see what people's opinions are, like what's the best Ridge Racer. Because I'm kind of a sucker for this one, to be honest. This and the 3DS version, which is basically the same. I think those, but someone else might have something different. Like I only kind of like played the PS1 versions of Ridge Racer, so maybe there's some good in between. I'd be curious to hear. Like I said, I've got over 100 racing games on our list to rank. And I know we've definitely got 3 Ridge Racer games. I've got this, Ridge Racer Type 4, and Ridge Racer Unbounded. But we're adding buying new racing games all the time to add to our list to make it even bigger. Oh, nitrous here. Oh. See, sometimes your drift goes a little bit too wild like that. But see how you can get your car like more or less horizontal to the way you're meant to be facing and still recover. I'd love to know how the drifting works in this. Like I said, like a wheel underneath. Because most games, if you drift and you were like facing the wall, you're most likely going to crash into the wall. In this game, you can recover your car quite well. Whoop. Just showing some of the crazy drifting here. Whoop. Yeah, this game is like definitely one of the best when it comes to drifting. Okay, here we go. Don't know how I'm going to beat that lap time with all those crazy drifts, but you just don't know sometimes. Not much going on that crowd, that's about it. I always think in racing, it must be weird to be the audience because you're just like seeing a tiny bit of a race as a car comes past. It's one of those weird sports I think that must be strange to go and watch. I'm guessing they have like big TV screens so you can like see what's happening on the rest of the racetrack, but it's still weird though to be somewhere like, I'm going to watch this TV mainly except for the 10 seconds when the cars passes. Come on. I think for 2006 the lighting holds up pretty well in this as well. It just looks and still plays well. I'm here having fun, I'm enjoying this. It's a good racing game. Oh. Okay, here we come on the last lap here. Like I said, the music depends. I feel like it's definitely got a 90s vibe to the music. So it all depends on your preference of music really, if you're going to like the music or not. Whoop, helicopter. Man, there's some good sweeping corners in this. Good tunnel reverb there, that's what I always like to hear. Get around here. And there you go. And while we decide on the ranking, I pull the rankings up. Let's watch the replay. Let's get rid of this display. We can enjoy the replay. So here is our current rankings. I'm gonna pull up my list. So like I said, Ridge Racer feels great, and there's something about it that's like a rhythm, like it's kind of like a rhythm to it. The drifting, and you get in the mood, and it's like good. It doesn't have like random factors that kind of like affect some other games. It still looks good for a game that came out in 2005. So I think some people might disagree with this, but it's hard when there's like a modern game on your list because you're like, it looks so impressive, whatever. But you kind of have to think about how it's going to age and how it holds up. I think I'm going to stick Ridge Racer 6 just after Blur. Now that is a little bit of a tricky one because I know how much people might like Wreckfest. And Wreckfest is great, it looks great on the destruction, but there's something about the racing I prefer in Ridge Racer 6, the actual driving of the cars. Breakfast has kind of like it's slightly a little bit off on the racing, like the handling and stuff. But anyway, like I said, this is just my opinion. You can let me know in the comments where you would stick these. And just because something is better than something else on my list doesn't mean it's better overall, or doesn't mean that I don't enjoy the other games. Every game on here I do enjoy, and I've played quite a bit of. And some games I finished, like Need for Speed Carbon, even though it's low down list, I've totally finished that game. And most of these I will go back to as well. Okay, so this is Ridge Racer 6. It's the Xbox 360 version, and that will now appear on the screen. And there you go. So what we've learned from this episode is that Blur still remains at the top, but Ridge Racer 6 has done well to get in there, and Destruction Derby's kind of found itself in the middle. So thank you very much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell. We appreciate all the help. Thanks to our patrons. Remember to stay safe, and we'll see you next time for Ranking of Racers.